to be known of him, you have to love him. He who loves God is known of God. And if you don't love God, then you're not known by God. And if you love him, then you will keep his commandments. Because his commandment is life everlasting. Jesus testified of this. Of how that everything that the Father commanded him, says, so I speak. That took self right out the way. When you are a total example or reflection of something that is of a power in your life, you hear people say, you talk just like your father. Amen. That's a credit to the Father when it is good. And so we thank God for Jesus being the total reflection of God in the flesh. Amen. Today we want to speak to you about to please God. One must surrender all. Amen. You got to be willing to give him your all. And you must forsake everything that God is against. Anything in you, and sometimes people tend to want to hide some little isms and schisms. But God has a tremendous microscopic glass that he can look right down into your heart and see what's hiding around in it. Amen. The word to means toward a given state, to please God. In a particular relationship with, to have a relationship with God, you must surrender. Amen. The word please means to give enjoyment, to give pleasure, or satisfaction to. To make glad or content. When it comes down to a marriage, to be married to God, you got to forsake all others and then totally surrender to he whom you have chosen to walk with. Amen. Amen. And then God, as we know, he is conceived, first of all, as being the perfect. He's the omnipotent. He is the originating creator of all mankind, heaven and earth, and all things that exist. He is the ruler of the universe, the principal object of faith and worship in the monotheistic, meaning only one God. That is pure religion. The word one speaks of an unspecified individual. Anyone. Amen. If you're coming to God, if you're going to walk with God, if you're going to be associated with God, you've got to forsake all others and then totally surrender to him. Amen. The word must is something that is absolutely required. Amen. Indispensable. Amen. You coming to God? Give it all up. Amen. Surrender means to relinquish possession or control of oneself, and then you do it to what? Another. Amen. Because of demand or being compelled to do so. We are compelled to give it all up. And totally, mind, soul, and body. You can't be part-time with God and other time with Satan. There's no communion between light and darkness. Where do you find darkness? Wherever the light does not shine. They can't be in the same place at the same time. Neither can you walk with God and walk with the devil at the same time. How we doing, church? The word A-L-L, all, is the whole one's fortune, resources, energy, everything that one has. Amen. As we were speaking on last Friday about the marriage and all that you have to do when you get married, there are things you must give up. Amen. And if there's all sorts of girlfriends, you got to give them all up. My mother told me that, Billy, it's time for you to stop fooling around with all the girls and find you, watch this now, a wife. That was good advice. Mother gives good advice when she has the Spirit of God in her life. Then God, if you will, congregation, Elder had a spark in the anvil. He said, as long as the spirit of the devil abides, we're going to have trouble with ourselves. Amen. As long as the spirit of the devil abides in you, there's going to be trouble. Because it's one thing is of a certainty, if the devil is abiding, you have not surrendered all. Amen. You're still holding on to something. I remember when I got married and had this little black book with all the girls' phone numbers and whatnot in it. Amen. My wife took it and she tore out one name. You don't need this no more. True, I don't need that anymore. She didn't bother but one name in there. That was Miss X. And I still got the little black book. But that name has been ripped out. You don't need this anymore. Amen. True. I surrender. Amen. I didn't need that anymore. When you come to God, church, you don't need nobody else. You don't need anything that Satan has to offer. Because God supplies all your needs. Amen. Everything you need, God has it. What you don't need is isms, schisms, lying, stealing, cheating, fornicating, all of these things you don't need. Why? Because he says, I am going to fill your cup with all good things. Amen. So you don't need to hold on to nothing, but just as sure as you're born to die. If you try to hold on to something without surrendering, there's going to be trouble. Amen. Amen. Somewhere down the line, amen, it may take 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, or however long. Just as sure as you're born to die, that spirit that you are Coveting will